Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Gabriela Zalzabilla. I want to present about short story analysis of Little Red Riding Hood. The first slide, there is an analysis plot which is divided into five, namely exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Exposition. The exposition is like the setup of the story. The background information that is needed to understand the story is provided, such as the main character, the setting, the basic conflict, and so forth. The exposition ends with the inciting moment, which is the one incident in the story without which there would be no story. The inciting moment sets the rest of the story in motion. Rising action. Rising action is a series of events and actions that move the story to a climax. During rising action, the basic conflict is complicated by secondary conflicts, such as obstacles and challenges that frustrate the main characters' attempt to reach their goal. Climax or turning point. The climax is the peak of the action and the turning point in the story. After the climax, everything changes. Things will have gone badly for the main character up to this point. Now, things will begin to go well for him or her. However, if the story is a tragedy, the opposite will happen after the climax. Things that have been going good for the main character begin to go bad. Falling action. During the falling action, the conflict unravels with the main character either winning or losing. The falling action might contain a moment of final suspense, during which the final outcome of the conflict is in doubt. Resolution. The story ends with the resolution, in which the main character is better off than at the beginning of the story. However, the tragedy ends with death and sadness, in which the protagonist is worse off than at the beginning of the story. Okay, the first is exposition. Exposition in this story is introduction, the main character, Little Red Riding Hood, and also other supporting characters like her mother, grandmother, wolf, and hunter. It also introduction the setting Little Red and why her was called Little Red Riding Hood. Next is rising action. Rising action is when passing through the forest, Red Riding Hood was found with a wolf and forgot about the advice given by his mother. Then climax. Climax in this story is the wolf managed to find a shortcut to Grandma's house, and then she was eaten by the wolf. Falling action. Falling action from this story is Little Red Riding Hood and his grandmother are rescued by hunters by removing them from the belly of a wolf. And the last is resolution. In this story, the resolution is finally the wolf is brought home by the hunter, the Little Red Riding Hood, and her mother enjoy the food brought by her. The next slide, there is a point of view and conflict. From this story, a point of view is third-person omniscient view. The narrator refers to all the characters in the story with the pronouns he, she, or they. This narrator observes the thoughts and describes the actions of multiple characters in the story. And conflict in this story is man versus man, caused by conflicts that occur between two characters. Then character names and traits. Little Red Riding Hood are half good, brave, and cheerful characters. Mother are half merciful, gentle, and caring for her child. Grandmother are half good, easily cheated character. Wolf are half evil, cunning, good at cheating. And the last is Hunter are half good and severe characters. After that, there is setting. From the story, there are three settings, namely place, time, and atmosphere. The place in the wood, we can be seen from the following sentence. When she saw the sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees and pretty flowers growing everywhere. The second is time in the morning. We can be seen from the following sentence. It is so early in the day that I shall still get there in good time. The last is the atmosphere is stressful. We can be seen from the following sentence. Then, just as he was going to fire at him, it occurred to him that the wolf might have devoured the grandmother and that she might still be saved. So he didn't fire, but took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the stomach of the sleeping wolf. Next, symbols. From the story, there are two symbols, red and morning. Red means daring. We can see from the sentence, so she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. Meanwhile, morning means purity. We can see from the sentence, and when you go into her room, don't forget to say good morning and don't peep into every corner before you do it. Then, themes. From the story, the themes is if you refute your parents' advice, bad things will happen to you and don't trust too much with strangers. Furthermore, examples of literary elements, there are two. There is alliteration and personification. Alliteration is when the wolf had appeased his appetite, while personification is what a terrible big mouth you have. Next, formulate opinions. formulate opinions, explain, I am agree with the author because from this story we can take moral values. That is, parents know what is good and not for their children. Therefore, we must listen to the advice of parents so that nothing bad happens to us. On the other hand, don't trust too much with strangers. And the last is connections. So, this story relates to everyone because the short story provides valuable lessons that don't trust too much with strangers and listen to parents' advice. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.